Strategic imperatives for India amidst global power shifts. The escalating conflict between the US, Israel, and Iran serves as a critical wake-up call for India's strategic planners. As global powers increasingly adopt the might is right doctrine, India finds itself in a precarious position due to its heavy reliance on energy imports and foreign military hardware. Unlike energy-secure nations like the US and Russia, India remains vulnerable to disruptions in the Persian Gulf, which have already triggered global energy crises and collateral damage across the Middle East. Internal challenges further complicate India's pursuit of Atmanirbharta. Despite high-level pushes for indigenous manufacturing, a persistent trust deficit between the civilian military bureaucracy and the domestic defense sector hampers progress. To secure its future as a leading global power, India must overhaul its governance structures and move beyond outdated non-alignment ideologies. Reliance on third parties for core security needs is no longer sustainable if New Delhi aims to claim a pole position on the world stage. Next news. NASA sets April launch for historic Artemis II lunar mission. NASA has officially greenlit the Artemis II mission for a potential April 1st liftoff, marking the first time humans will fly around the moon in over half a century. Following a successful flight readiness review, teams are preparing to roll the Space Launch System rocket and Orion spacecraft to the Florida launch pad on March 19th. The crew, including 3 NASA astronauts and 1 Canadian representative, will embark on a critical 10-day journey to test spacecraft systems and pave the way for future lunar landings and eventual Mars exploration. This milestone coincides with a global surge in lunar interest. While NASA leads the Artemis Accords, a framework for peaceful exploration including partners like India, China, and Russia are developing a rival international research station. Simultaneously, India continues to advance its own Gaganyaan program, aiming for indigenous human spaceflight by 2027. Despite previous technical delays involving helium flow issues, NASA officials confirm that both the hardware and the team are now ready for this high-stakes test flight. Next news. President Trump claims impending Iranian surrender amidst escalating conflict. US President Donald Trump informed G7 leaders during a Wednesday call that Iran is on the verge of surrender, despite ongoing military exchanges. While Trump expressed private confidence in a swift victory, he simultaneously intensified his public rhetoric on Truth Social, claiming the US is totally destroying Iran's military and economic infrastructure. The president asserted that Iran's naval and air capabilities have been decimated, even as he warned of further strikes against the regime. Contradicting these claims, Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps launched the 44th phase of Operation True Promise, targeting US bases and Israeli positions with heavy missile barrages. High-ranking Iranian officials have vowed to resist until their last breath. Meanwhile, reports suggest the Pentagon may have underestimated the risk of Iran closing the strategic Strait of Hormuz. As the conflict enters its 13th day, both nations remain entrenched, with neither side showing signs of de-escalation. Next news. US CENTCOM confirms 4 fatalities in Iraq tanker crash. The United States Central Command confirmed on Friday that 4 crew members were killed after a Boeing KC-135 Stratotanker crashed in western Iraq. The incident occurred Thursday afternoon during Operation Epic Fury, as the aircraft supported military operations against the Iranian regime. While 6 personnel were on board, 2 remain part of ongoing rescue efforts. CENTCOM explicitly stated that the loss was not the result of hostile or friendly fire, noting that a second aircraft involved in the mission landed safely. In contrast, Iranian state media and the IRGC claimed the refueling plane was downed by resistance group missiles. They asserted that all 6 service members perished when air defense systems targeted the tanker during a mid-air refueling operation. As investigations continue, US officials are withholding the names of the deceased pending family notification. This tragedy highlights the escalating risks in the region as the conflict enters its 2nd week. Next news. Israel conducts massive airstrikes across Iranian strategic sites. The Israeli Air Force, IAF, has completed several waves of simultaneous strikes targeting critical infrastructure in Tehran, Shiraz, and Avaz. Under Operation Roar of the Lion, over 200 targets were hit within 24 hours, including an underground ballistic missile production facility in Shiraz and central air defense bases in Tehran. The IDF also claimed to have destroyed the Talagan compound, allegedly used for nuclear weapons research. Beyond Iran's borders, Israeli forces eliminated high-ranking figures, including IRGC missile coordinator Abudar Mohammadi and senior commanders from Hezbollah's Radwan force. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu intensified the rhetoric, issuing a direct warning to Iran's new supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei. Describing him as a puppet of the IRGC, Netanyahu signaled that no Iranian leader is safe from potential targeting. Next news. War in Middle East triggers severe medicine and oil crisis in Pakistan. The intensifying conflict involving Iran, Israel and the US has dealt a devastating double whammy to Pakistan's stability. Following the declaration of an oil emergency due to crippled fuel supplies, the nation now faces an imminent shortage of life-saving medicines. With key international flights suspended, the import of critical pharmaceutical raw materials and baby formula has ground to a halt. Reports indicate that existing stocks of medical ingredients will last only 6 weeks, threatening patients reliant on the public healthcare system for cancer, diabetes, and heart disease treatments. This crisis exacerbates Pakistan's pre-existing economic struggles with inflation and unemployment. Although Islamabad has avoided direct involvement in the war, it officially condemned the killing of Iran's supreme leader. This geopolitical friction, combined with a historical failure to develop indigenous pharmaceutical manufacturing, has left the country's 240 million citizens increasingly vulnerable. As gas station queues grow and hospital supplies dwindle, the lack of immediate peace in the region signals a deepening humanitarian emergency for Pakistan. Next news. US pivot to Middle East strains Indo-Pacific security guarantees. The 2-week-old war with Iran is fundamentally reshaping the Indo-Pacific, forcing the Pentagon to redirect critical military assets from its priority theater to the Middle East. Strategic systems, including Patriot missiles and THAAD interceptors previously stationed in South Korea, have been moved to counter Iranian drone and missile threats. This redeployment has sparked deep anxiety among Asian allies, with analysts warning that Washington's overextension could embolden China and undermine decades of American security guarantees in the region. The shift has led to 3 stark conclusions. Asia may no longer be Washington's top priority, China's regional influence is poised to grow amidst US distraction, and allies are losing faith in the reliability of American arms deliveries. Japan and Taiwan are already bracing for significant delays in military hardware, prompting a surge towards self-reliance. As South Korean and Japanese leaders prepare for worst-case scenarios, the conflict is pushing Asian powers to reconsider their dependence on the US and explore independent military capabilities. Next news. US military plane crash in Iraq. 4 US service members have been confirmed dead after a KC-135 Stratotanker refueling aircraft crashed in western Iraq. The incident occurred near Ture Bil during Operation Epic Fury, a joint US-Israeli campaign. Officials from US Central Command stated the loss was not due to hostile or friendly fire, pointing instead to a potential mid-air collision with another KC-135 that successfully made an emergency landing in Israel. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane paid tribute to the fallen heroes, noting that identities are being withheld pending kin notification. While the Islamic resistance in Iraq claimed responsibility, US officials maintain the crash was accidental. This tragedy brings the total US conflict fatalities to 11, as leadership warns that further casualties may be inevitable in the ongoing operations. Next news. Drone strike hits Dubai Financial District. Dubai's international financial hub was struck by drone debris on Friday morning following the interception of an Iranian attack. The incident caused visible damage and smoke to a building within the district, fulfilling recent threats from Iranian officials to target economic centers linked to US and Israeli interests. In response, major global financial institutions including Citigroup, Standard Chartered and Bloomberg have instructed staff to relocate or work remotely as the regional conflict widens. The UAE Ministry of Defense reports countering over 1,500 drones since the onset of hostilities. Meanwhile, Dubai authorities have intensified a crackdown on the sharing of incident footage under strict cybercrime laws, resulting in multiple arrests of foreign nationals. As tensions escalate, several governments have issued urgent travel warnings, advising citizens to evacuate the Gulf region due to the increasing frequency of aerial strikes on critical infrastructure. Next news. Zelensky criticizes US decision to ease Russian oil sanctions. During a press conference in Paris with French President Emmanuel Macron, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky strongly condemned President Donald Trump's decision to drop sanctions on Russian oil. Zelensky argued that the 30-day waiver, intended to stabilize global energy markets amid the conflict with Iran, could provide Moscow with an additional $10 billion to fund its ongoing invasion. He stated that the move undermines efforts toward peace and weakens the economic pressure necessary to end the war. While the US Treasury defended the waiver as a necessary short-term measure to curb skyrocketing fuel prices, international reaction remains divided. British Energy Minister Michael Shanks and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz both confirmed their nations would not follow the US lead, maintaining that sanctions must remain firm to exert maximum pressure on the Kremlin. Meanwhile, Russian officials welcomed the move, claiming it shows Washington is beginning to acknowledge the global importance of Russian energy supplies.